Hello and welcome to the Fairy Little podcast. I'm Marsha, also known as Fairy Little, and today my podcast is all about knitting. So let's dive in, shall we? I think today's podcast is going to be fairly short and sweet. I wanted to touch base and say hello, show you where I'm at, and that's about it. There's not a whole lot new going on for me. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way, if you celebrated Valentine's. It was yesterday, but by the time you see this, it'll be early in the week. I'm going to start off by telling you what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Imagine tee. It's a little crop top t-shirt that I designed, and it has been released. The yarn I used was a silk merino blend that I dyed myself, so this color is not available anywhere. It's just was a one-off that I created myself. And what is on my beautiful mannequin is the Contemplate, and this is knit in Cascade 128 in an eggplant aubergine. I finished it last week and I showed it to everybody last week. It has since been blocked and now it is finished. It's a deep V-neck. The V-neck actually comes deeper than that, but to get it to actually stay, I had to pull it in the back just a smidgen just to keep it on the mannequin. It is knit out of a bulky weight yarn, and it's so cozy and warm and very enjoyable. What she is wearing right now is the Absorption Cowl in Sweet Georgia Sparkle Cashmere, and it was a five pack. So that is everything that's going on here. I went through that really quickly. All these patterns are available on my Ravelry design page. They will be linked below. So if you're interested in any of them, just go to the link below and check it out. Also, if you are a patron, depending on your level of support, you get a percentage off every single one of my designs that comes out, and the top 2 tiers get each of my designs that come out for free. And each of those patterns is available for the month that they are released in. They're available for 1 month period, and that way it works from when you start supporting forward, and it doesn't allow access to previous free designs. It only allows access from the point when you start supporting forward. So that is a little bit of a Patreon perk that I have devised. So if you're a patron, thank you so much for your continued support. I'll be continuing to add more things over there. What I have been working on over here, I'm going to start off with my Pasqua Shawl, which I showed it to you last week, and I added a stitch marker for where I was. So that's where I was last week, and I have knit all the way up here. I am on the last 11 rows. So this will be complete by the next episode. It will be totally complete. I have updated the pattern in Ravelry, so if you have previously purchased the Pasqua Shawl, the pattern and charts have been updated in Ravelry, and those have been sent out, so you can just use the new version. This is being knit out of Black Cat Custom Yarns, and the colors I'm using are Void Talon, Black Raspberry Cheesecake, and Widowmaker. So those are the 3 colors in this one. It is a scrumptious large pie shawl. It is both written and has charts. Each section is a little bit different. This section here and this section here are similar. This section here and this section down here are similar, and then this one is its own edging, and it's beautiful. It has a wave to it. That's really pretty. There's a lot of stitches on the needles, which I enjoy. I really love to knit pie shawls because you're just knitting around and around. And they're so just beautiful and scrumptious when they're done. This one I am really enjoying knitting on. It is, obviously I put a lot of work into it since last week, as you can see from the marker. I really wanted to get this one off the needles today, but I didn't get it off before I started recording, and that's okay. So by the time you see this next time, it will be done. I am knitting it on high sharps and on a 4mm needle, 6 US. And I am also using, I like to use these little plastic safety pin markers. They work really well, especially if you're marking like how far you've knit from, but also if you make a mistake and you have to go back. So yesterday I took the kids out to, we rented a room at a place. I took them to virtual reality, and how it works because of COVID, you book in advance. There's only one person that's working there and you don't have contact with them. They are behind a wall and they talk to you behind the wall. And it's cleaned in between people, but it's fairly dark in the room where we did the VR. It was a lot of fun. The kids really enjoyed it. It was a nice Valentine's Day event. I brought my knitting though. In one section, I did an extra yarn over knit one, fairly close to the beginning. So when I got to the end of the row, I was 1 stitch short, and I knew that that's probably what I did. So I went through and looked at every stitch. I found the mistake, but I didn't have a clip-on safety pin stitch marker. I usually keep an extra stitch marker in my wallet, which I did, but it was a circular one. So I grabbed a piece of yarn with the stitch marker and attached it and put it where the mistake was, and then I tinked back. And tinking back is when you go back stitch by stitch by stitch to where the mistake was, correct it, and continue on forward. So all I had to do was tink back and then continue forward in the pattern. There was it wasn't really a mistake, it was just an additional stitch added. So I just had to back it up to that, take that out, and then continue on in pattern. It would have been much easier if I had an extra safety pin stitch, which I did not. Having said that, it worked out fine. I got back to the spot, re-knit it, and then it's a couple rows of knit after that. So it was very simple knitting after that. I got caught up. It took me about an hour, half an hour, 45 minutes, 45 minutes to get back to the mistake, and about half an hour of re-knitting to correct it. Then I was totally back on track and got some extra knitting done and back at it. So this is coming along really well. I actually cast something else on as well, and that is the Absorption Cowl. I cast it on the other day because it's a lot of fun, and I wanted to knit it in some really bright colors. Not necessarily for me, like obviously I do like bright colors. I just wanted to have a couple extra fun knits on hand for gifts, and the Absorption Cowl is a really nice one to do. I enjoy knitting it a lot, so I cast it on. I haven't gotten very far on it. The Absorption Cowl is by me. It was just released like a couple months ago in the fall, and this is how far I am. I'm knitting it on a smaller needle, and the reason I'm doing that is I find it easier to knit on a smaller needle, a smaller cable, because then I'm not pushing the stitches as much. So it makes it look like it's a lot smaller than it is. I'm using Cascade Heritage Silk yarn. This yarn I used in a color work sweater that I knit probably 3 or 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I think. So if you remember that color work, I'll try to remember to stick in the name here and maybe a picture of it, but you'll recognize the colors that I'm using in the cowl. They all go really well together. They're very fun. So this is kind of like a sea breeze kind of color. It's more of a green than anything. And I have a pink here. I have this blue. It's not a turquoise, but I don't even know what to describe this color in. This is a Knit Picks sock yarn. This is just a little bit of a leftover. This one, again, is Cascade Heritage Silk in a nice green. Then I have Cascade Heritage Silk in a nice white. And this one is also a Knit Picks, I do believe. I got these because I knit the pencil socks, and this was for the pencil socks. So I still had quite a chunk of that, and I'm trying to get through all of my scrap yarns and just bits of leftover. It calls for 1 full skein, which it doesn't use quite a full skein, but 1 100-gram skein and 5 or 6 25-gram 91-yard mini skeins of fingering weight. And you could do it with 5 or 6 colors. How it's written, it tells you if you have 5, this is what you do. If you have 6, this is what you do. So it's fairly simple to like change that, whether you want to do a 5 or 6 skein absorption. So it's coming along really nicely. This one is, again, high sharps. This is a 4mm needle. And again, I have the shorter cable because it just goes quicker. I have a lot of extra yarn on the end. Normally I just cut it. I just haven't. It's not bothering me. I haven't started knitting with it, so I just cast it on and got going. And that is pretty much it for knitting content. That was super fast, and I like really went through it quickly. I really wanted to have an episode up this week, so that's why it's so short and sweet, because I have been very monogamous, so I haven't been knitting on a whole lot of things. It's pretty much been this shawl. I've been actually taking it with me. So if you were just here for the knitting content, thanks so much for joining me. It was short and sweet and right to the point today. And if you're looking for ways to support the podcast, take a peek in the box below. There's a lot of different options. Otherwise, I will see you next week, and thanks for joining me. For those of you who are interested in jibber jabber, let's get to it. Just gonna knit while I jibber jabber with you because I want to get this shawl done. Valentine's was really nice. I spent time with the girls and made a special day out of it. I took them to the virtual reality, like I mentioned before, and they had a really great time. I took one of the turns. We were there for about 2 hours. I took one of the turns, which was, we split it up in 20-minute turns each. And I spent 20 minutes flying and it was so nice. I had a dream the night before that I was flying. So it was really fun to just do virtual reality flying. I'm actually really scared of heights, but doing the VR was really good. And then after I made a reservation, well, my sister made a reservation. I asked her to while I was driving. I had to get gas and drive. So I asked her to make a reservation at a little fancy restaurant here in town that is, they're COVID safe, and we hadn't been out to a restaurant in a very long time, in a year, as a family. I think we went to one other restaurant for one of the girls' birthdays in the fall, And they were very COVID friendly, and we were the only people in the restaurant in that time. And then this restaurant, there was more people, definitely a different demographic, and not necessarily a demographic that is into wearing masks necessarily. But we were in a corner by ourselves, which was really good. Our server wore a mask the whole time, which was really, really good. Everything was very clean, and the girls ordered their lunches. It was a late lunch. We were done about 3, but we ate a lot of food and had dessert and then came home. And it was really nice to have such a special Valentine's together. We've been so isolated. We don't see anyone outside of our core, except for they see the people that in their school, teachers and other students, but we don't do anything. We are just home. So it was nice to get out as a family in that way. We do go for hikes every once in a while, and there's one family that we have gone on hikes with, but it's social distanced and try to be as safe as possible, wear masks, when we need to. It was really nice getting out as a family, spending that time and making Valentine's really special. Last year, I cooked lobster and made creme brulee for our Valentine, which was really, really nice. And I think that I take it very seriously, the role I have in my girls' lives, to teach them the importance of their own value and of other people valuing them and spending time with them. It was part of that. I just really want to make sure that they know that they are worth the extra effort, that they are worth the extra time, that they are wonderful and special human beings that deserve love and appreciation and respect. And that's really, really important for me to instill in my girls. I just finished the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I have been also listening to another book, and it is called, the other book I'm listening to is about love addiction and toxic behaviors, which I am learning a lot about, which is really good. I'm also listening to Black Beauty, which is really, I've never listened to it before or read it before, and I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's life from a horse's perspective. If you have never read it before, it's a kid's book. It's a kid's book, but it is very deep for a kid's book, and that's probably why it's a classic. I am definitely enjoying it. It's kind of the unwind before bed book. I've been watching documentaries about Ireland, because I really enjoy documentaries and things on archaeology. So that's really, really my jam right now. I'm watching that. Oh, it is my sister's birthday this week. And she is turning, I'm not gonna tell you. But I will tell you, she thinks she's younger than she is. She is my younger sister. Not by much. Her birthday is on the 18th. She does a favor for me each week. She supports my girls in their visits that they have with their other parent. She takes them there and hangs around, so when the visit's over, she picks them up and brings them home. So on Thursday that is happening, but it's also her birthday, which is really exciting. So I'm going to do something for her while she's doing that for me. I'm going to do something at home for her also. She doesn't watch my podcast, so I don't have to worry about her seeing this. So I have a surprise for her for Friday to celebrate her birthday. I think it's going to be really good. I think she's going to like it. I'm so bad with planning things in advance, because as soon as I make a plan, I just like want to rebel against that. I don't know what that's called, but that's for sure a thing. So I need to start planning things in advance, and because it would be really great if I had a sweater knit for her birthday, but that will not be happening. So I need to plan something different for her birthday. I wish I thought about that before though. I should put in my planner for next year and start on it around Christmas time so that it's definitely ready for her birthday. I think that is it for my jibber jabber. I know there wasn't a lot. I've just been knitting on this pretty much straight and doing edits on other patterns. So it's really good that I'm doing that, and it's creating a cohesive look for all of my designs, which I'm really happy about. And this is kind of like the big push work part for that, because once all of my first designs are all re-edited for clarity and putting the terms in alphabetical order and consistency, once that big job is done, then it's done, and I can just move forward from that and just continue on with what I'm working on. So there's a lot of work happening right now. It is a lot of work, but once it's done, it's going to be really, really good. Then I don't have to worry about that. I also have some ideas for some new designs, which I do want to start doing the math for. I just need to hold my horses. Horsey holding for a little while longer. Okay, but for now, for real, I think that's it for me for today. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking around while I had a little knit. I hope you had one too. Appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week, and amazing weekend full of knitting. Appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Until next time.